Y'all, we are back. We are officially back. Season 7, episode 1 is in the books. If you're new here, hit subscribe right now. Take that finger and drag it to that like button. Also, drop it in the comments. Click something, type it in there. Let me know what y'all think. I'm very excited for this season. I feel like we're going to get some mess. We're going to get some real mess. The black people, like I said, I'm here for everybody black until they give me a reason to not be. I'm enjoying what we're seeing from them. They're giving us storylines. I will elaborate in a minute. I don't completely dislike anybody yet in terms of those. Yulissa and Austin, we're going to get to them in a minute. But I'm excited for this cast. I'm excited to see what they're going to bring. I feel like we're going to get a good season. I feel like we're going to get some good shit going on. But yeah, if you're here with me, thumbs up the video, hit subscribe like I said, so you'll be here with me every single day for the next 6 to 7 weeks. Turn your post notifications on so you'll be notified whenever I drop the videos. But I'm not going to waste too much time because we've been waiting. Because Peacock made us wait like 40 minutes before they dropped the episode, and it was 2 hours. But I was thoroughly entertained, so let's go. All right, so not only did they make us wait 40 minutes, they made us wait 4 extra minutes, which I skipped through with that stupid music video. But the house is nice. The villa looks nice. The first 2 islanders that walk in are the 2 beauties, the 2 chocolate queens, Olandria and Chelley. Chelley, let me just tell you this. They both are beautiful, but Chelley, she had me hypnotized the entire episode. That beauty, she looked like a Barbie doll. She looked like a Barbie doll. She's beautiful. She's everything. She's everything. But like I said, I hope they stay close. But we'll see what happens after what happened at the end. But I hope they stay close. They have good vibes. They're enjoying each other. They're popping champagne together. We find out that Chelley is 27 years old. Olandria is 27 as well. Chelley is a day trader. She's from New York. Well, she lives in New York, but she's from Florida. But she said she's an open book. She's dated girls before. Good sex is important to her, which it is important. Like, that's good. It's very important to anybody in a relationship. But she said she ain't the type to want to teach anybody how to do what they need to do for her. And I fully agree with her. And you at 27 years old. At 27 years old, you shouldn't be having to teach somebody how to please you. And there's too many people out here in the world for you to be trying to teach somebody. If somebody can't do it, there's somebody out here who can. But then we get a little bit about Olandria. She is from Alabama. Chelley, like I said, is from Miami. And Olandria said that because they're sitting around talking and stuff. And Olandria says that she loves Southern men, obviously, because she's from Alabama. But she ends up saying like she should never have to touch a door in her life with the man that she's with. Which obviously that's the way it should be. In this day and age, the niggas out here, they different. I'm just telling you now, they are different. But the way it should be is the way that she's saying. But she's from Decatur. She know how to cook. That's a woman. She know how to cook. She is a first generation college student. She went to an HBCU. Smart, educated, beautiful. They both look good, and they both said they looking for some fine shit. And they just having a good time, laughing and enjoying each other's company. Huda, I think it was Huda or Huda. I can't remember exactly, but it's close. But she comes. Both of the girls, they greet her. They're giving her good energy. She's giving it back. Huda, I remember seeing her on TikTok. I've seen her a lot. If you don't know, I'm a personal trainer as well, so I'm big on fitness too. So my For You page is curated to that as well, but I've seen her before. But she's 24 years old. She's a fitness coach. She is from Raleigh, North Carolina. Shout out to North Carolina. I'm rooting for her strictly off of that. But she's a lover girl. She's Middle Eastern. She has a daughter who we find out that she's 4, so she had that daughter at 20 years old. She ends up saying that if somebody got a problem with that, you need to be thinking about what your issue is. And if you have a problem with me having a daughter, that's a problem. Which, I mean, to a certain degree, it is. Like, essentially, if you want to date her, you should be. But then again, I'm like, is it really a problem? Because some people don't have to choose to want to date somebody who has a kid. But you shouldn't act like it's a problem because she has one. If that makes sense. But she ends up saying that she's been single for 4 years, which makes it all make sense to me. I'm like, your baby daddy's probably the reason why you've been single. Like, he probably must have did something that really fucked her up. But she said she don't want some dude that's out here running the streets. She wants somebody that's really wanting to be here for her. And she ends up saying, like, just because she's a mom doesn't mean that her life has to end. Pretty much stating that she's ready to find her a man and she's ready to find love. I was wondering, I'm like, who got the child? Hopefully the baby daddy is in Hopefully the baby daddy is in the child's life. Let's hope and pray that that is. But if not, I guess the baby must be with her mama and her dad. But Huda ends up letting them know that she wants, that she has a child. She lets Chelley and Olandria know, and she ends up asking them, like, do y'all want to be moms or whatever? And they both kind of say, like, yeah, around 30. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Like, around that time, I'm still having fun. But I want to find somebody and build with that first before going ahead and having a kid, which we find out with Chelley later on. She wants to be married as well. But Huda ends up telling them, like I said, that she has a daughter who's 4 years old. She's never introduced a man to her daughter, which you shouldn't. At least not soon. I feel like you shouldn't. But she wants to wait to tell people as well. She said, I want to wait to tell the people in the house that I have a kid. So Chelley and Olandria clearly gave her enough good energy to where she felt the good will to be able to trust them with that information. So they agreed to be quiet about it. But Bella and that girl Yulissa, who, if you don't know nothing about her, just go on TikTok. She likes to say nigga, and I'm not one that likes anybody that's not this to be saying it. So she's immediately on my shit list. I don't like her at all. Don't like her at all. But they start greeting the girls and whatever, and they're cheering and like cheers into having a good night and making memories that last for a lifetime, which we know they will. But Bella, she's 22 years old. She's from Oregon, but she ended up moving to Hawaii. She ends up stating that her ex did not want a long-term relationship, a long-distance relationship. And I'm like, essentially, that clearly tells you that it wasn't true love. So you good not being with him. But she ends up saying that she typically goes for nonchalant men, but that's not the type of way that she wants them to love her. She wants them to be out loud with it. That's the way it should be. But Yulissa, she ends up saying that she was in a 9-year relationship with no ring and he left her for another girl. I said, good for him. But I'm going to sound so mean saying that. But look, but she's 27 years old, which I think is crazy too, that you stayed in a 9-year relationship with no ring at 20. Okay. Because you wasted 9 years of your life, but okay. But she said that she was cooking and cleaning for him as well. And I'm like, that's why he never gave you the ring. Like, you as a woman, you should. I'm giving you tips for real. You as a woman, you should never do the things that you should do as a wife until you have that ring. That's just all I'm gonna tell you now. But she says she'll suck on toes or whatever, but that's how freaky she is essentially. But she got a nice body too. That's the crazy thing. But I don't like her. But Ariana, she ends up arriving them. She greets them. A lot of positive women energy going on. And she ends up asking them questions about like what brought y'all here to Love Island. Olandria says that she feels like she's like essentially overhealed from her relationships to the point where anytime somebody gives her any inclination, she's ready to cut them off. And she wants to allow herself to allow certain people to make mistakes and kind of give them a chance to kind of like prove to her that they can fix it before cutting them off, essentially. But she says that Yulissa ends up saying that she claims that she had found herself after she lost herself in that 9-year relationship. Bella ends up saying that she's only been in one relationship, which, I mean, obviously you're 22 years old. You've barely been on Earth. But she ends up saying that she's an old soul and she is a Christian and she wants someone that actually wants a future, wants to have kids, wants to be married. So she wants that. Huda says she likes pretty boys, which we're going to later see that's very true. She says she likes somebody who likes to work out because she is a fitness coach. Chelley ends up saying she essentially loves like Aura, family-oriented, goofy, romantic. It's funny because she kind of describes somebody that she deals with later on too. But she ends up saying like men lack chivalry now. There's a lot of men that definitely fit that. But there's a lot of us out here that do have chivalry and like to court and like to do all of those things that she likes. She says she's open. She wants a man to open every single door for her, which is true. And she says she looks at niggas sideways whenever she goes on dates and stuff and they don't open the door for her. They don't treat her that way. So that's what you should be as a woman. You shouldn't allow a man to not do those things that a man should do. But Nicolas and Ace, they're the first guys that arrive. The girls start screaming because they're the first dudes that they see. But Ace said they all looking good as hell. Chelley and Ace, immediately, you could already tell there was history there. As we know, they followed each other on social media, was liking each other's pictures or whatever. And you could already tell they knew who each other was. The energy was there. You could tell they have like an open-endedness to it. It's like you could tell like they They've been around each other. They probably wanted to deal with each other, but didn't get the chance to do it, which is crazy how it's now happening here. She was blushing immediately, and we find out that they met in New York in a club, and he's telling the story, and she's sitting there blushing hard. I said, uh-oh. But she ends up saying that they had met and talked on Instagram, and he lives in LA, but she lives in Orlando, so they didn't really get a chance to like really connect or whatever. But Ace, we find out about Ace. Ace got good energy. He got good energy. He's a playboy. I can already tell you that now. But I like Ace. Ace got good vibes. I just hope he don't end up. We're gonna get to it. But he's from LA. He says he's a romantic at heart. He's looking for someone to fall deeply in love with. He's got all this good energy, like I say. He's got a dance company that he owns. He grew up in the streets of LA, so he's figured out and lived a very hard life and has figured out a way to get to a good place in life. He's got 6 siblings. He's got all of them tatted on him. And he's a family man. He said dancing brings him joy, and he says people think he's a player. I said I could see it, and we see it later on. But he said essentially he's a lover boy at heart. Olandria ends up saying, you are literally a baby. You still got breast milk on your mouth. Olandria is funny. Her and Taylor are funny, but we're going to get to them in a minute. But Nicolas, he ends up saying that he is almost grown because after the breast milk comment. But Bella, she's slick flirting with him low key. Olandria looks engaged with what he's got going on. And he pretty much lets them know that he likes physical touch. So we learn a little bit about him. He's a registered nurse. He likes a little bit of crazy with the women that keep him on his toes, but not too crazy. I get that too. Nobody wants to be in a boring relationship. Sometimes a little bit of arguing, healthy arguing is good. Like you don't want to be bored. Like you want somebody to keep you on your toes a little bit. But he said just enough to keep him on his toes. But Taylor comes in skipping, cracking me up. But they ask him if he's a cowboy because he's got his cowboy hat on. And he says, yes, ma'am. Real Southern gentleman shit. But we find out about Taylor. Taylor is 24 years old. He's from Oklahoma. He's from the South as well. He's a cowboy. He owns 4 horses. He don't like women with ugly feet. I'm right there with you. I don't like feet, period. But no. But he says like his dating life has been hell because there ain't shit in Oklahoma. He says everybody that's in Oklahoma essentially has fucked with each other. And I don't want nobody that done fucked with everybody else because we in such a small place where just essentially everybody done dealt with everybody. That's pretty much what he's stating. He is funny. I like Taylor too. But Chelley, like I said, I wrote here, she was hypnotizing me. Just looking at her, every time they put that camera on her, I'm like, damn, that's a beautiful woman. But Jeremiah and Austin, they end up arriving. Austin ends up claiming that he's looking for, and I don't like Austin either. Don't like him either. He apparently been reposting hate about black women, which is interesting. We're about to get into that. And he supports Donald Trump. Says a lot about you. But he says he's 26 years old from Michigan. He said he's a pool boy. That's what he said initially. I said, so you have no career at 26 years old. But he then elaborated and said that he's a pool technician. I said, okay, I'll take it back. But he talks like he's slow. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way, but he does, but okay. But Jeremiah, he's saying that he's nervous. He don't look like he's nervous, but we find out that he's 25 years old. He's from LA. He ain't from LA, but he's in LA because he's a model. He's a bookworm. He loves playing Fortnite. He's cheated on his ex. He told us that. That's that 3/4 of a nigga that he said essentially. He's like, I'm 3/4 a good guy. That's what he's saying, that 3/4 that's not the 4/4. The whole is because he cheated. I said it's good that he admitted that, but he probably gonna do it again. Like we all know what it is with cheaters. 9 times out of 10, if you cheated once, you're going to do it again. Like, essentially, you're going to do it again. And we know that considering TikTok. We know what's been going on. The day, I don't even think it was the day. It was like the hour the cast dropped. Old girl from the Netflix, what was it, Temptation Island. She apparently was talking to him while he was getting on the show. So I'm like, oh, here we go. But he ends up saying that he's here to find something. He said, I don't want to say love, but I want a girlfriend. So I said, you just here for something for the moment. Because essentially, if you want a girlfriend to actually be the long term, you're going to be here for love. You're not just going to be here just for a girlfriend. But Ariana, she ends up telling them it's time to choose a boy. Pretty much it's time to couple up. The girls are going to choose a guy. The way they're going to do it this time is they're going to go ahead and choose 2 boys that they can go kiss and tongue down. And after both kisses, the girl can choose the guy that they want to couple up with. Now, here's the thing, though. even though you choose him, he can get stolen by another girl. So we start. She starts drawing names out of a hat. The first one to go up is Chelley. Chelley goes around faking everybody out. She faked Jeremiah out. I said, good, because he don't strike me as somebody that like black women. But when she got to Maggie Austin, she started kissing him. I said, no. But she went over there to Ace. They got some sexual tension. There was a lot of chemistry going on there. I said, this is going to be something. This is going to be something. But Ace ends up saying she's stunning and gorgeous and he feels alive after that kiss. She is. But Chelley ends up saying she's going to couple up with Ace. So they go ahead and couple up. She says the kiss was spicy. Ace said he got a lot of emotions because he don't normally kiss on the first date. I don't know if I believe that, but okay. But he says he's excited to get to know her. Huda is up next. The person she went for did not shock me at all. She went straight to Jeremiah. I said that's the pretty boy connection that she wanted. But Jeremiah ends up saying, like, essentially she could stay right here. Like, he loved it. These two on paper, I could see these two. Like, I think I might have said them two. I think I either said Jeremiah and Yulissa, but I can see Jeremiah and Huda on paper as well, just like Nicolas and Bella. But Jeremiah loved the kiss. She felt it. She enjoyed it as well. Ace ends up saying, because she went over to Ace and kissed the Ace too, he said that he didn't know how he felt about being a second choice. I said, don't start that player shit, boy. You already starting it. But Huda ends up choosing to couple up with Jeremiah. She says that she likes how he's looking for a girlfriend and she needs an emotionally mature man. And I said, I don't know if you got the right one, because I guarantee you the minute he knows that you got that child, he's going to be running for the hills. I know for a fact that's what's going to happen. We're going to see if I'm right. But what happens? Bella, she goes up and she has them kiss her on the cheek. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I can respect it, because she says she don't kiss on the first day. I said, I guess I can respect it. Like, that's something that she holds true to heart, and that's her values, and I can do nothing but respect that. So I respect it. But she chooses to couple up with Nicolas. Like I said, on paper, that just makes the most sense. Olandria, she goes up next. She goes straight to her cowboy. They got tension as well. A lot of sexual tension going on there. I felt what I was looking at. Olandria then goes and kisses Nicolas. And she said that one got a little spicy in it. And I was like, okay. But Taylor, he ends up saying that he and Olandria could have kept going because them lips was soft. And she eventually ends up coupling up with him because she said she wanted her own personal cowboy. I said, okay, Southern Black love. I love it. But Yulissa, she ends up going up to kiss. Who did she kiss first? She kissed Ace first, of course. I knew it. Just considering what she did online, I knew what she was going to do was what she was going to do. So she went up there to Ace. She then goes over to Jeremiah, but Jeremiah does not kiss her for real. He said, I'll kiss you on the cheek. So Ace then whispers to Chelley, I fucked up. Ace pretty much stating, like, I should have did that too. Yeah, you should have. You should have. But Jeremiah says that he did it because he wanted to be respectful to Huda. And Yulissa, she obviously couples up with Ace. Shelley's like, okay. And it's like, you could tell Chelley low-key was bothered by it, but was trying to play it off, which I'm glad she did. I'm glad she did. We're going to get to it in a minute. But she's like, it's day one. Like, it might have been a sign for me. I'm like, yeah, bring them bombshells on in right now. And I said that because she had to go couple up with Austin. I said, no, not her, with him. No. But they getting to know each other. So the game is finished. They're walking around the villa, getting to see the villa and everything. Everybody's going to see and stuff. We start seeing the individual conversations, and Olandria and Taylor, they're the first ones. So they head up to the balcony. This conversation I love. I loved it. It was just, it was black. It was black. Like, no code switching. Y'all know from last season, I like the just authentic blackness. I just love it. But she ends up asking him, like, what would your ideal woman be? And he's like, I said a good teach. I don't know what I said there. Good teeth. I don't know why I said teach. Good teeth, a.k.a. he want good hygiene, a big butt, as we know he said that, and she got that too. And he ends up saying, you got to have good toes. And he start looking down at her feet. She said, don't look at my feet. She said, don't do that. She said, they swollen. And I almost started laughing because I'm like, she probably right, because she been standing on them heels for a long time. But he ends up saying, keep them down. She said, I can't wait to see yours. And he ends up saying, I got a black toe. She's looking like... But he started talking about a horse that did it. And she's like, you got fungus. He said, don't do my shit. That ain't no fungus. They was cracking up. I was cracking up. I love their vibe. They have a natural chemistry. And it's just like, outside of the sexual chemistry that they had in that kiss, they got genuine chemistry. And it's like, that's what you want in a relationship. Yes, you want to be sexually attracted to that person, but you also want to have a good time with that person. They had that good energy, and that's what I like. I love seeing that. But they're having a good vibe. He ends up asking her what she's looking for, and she says, like, I'm Southern. Like, I'm a Southern belle. I love a country man. And she says, it's funny how I walked up in here and here you come in here with a cowboy hat on. And he says, it must have been God. I said, look at y'all. But she ends up saying in her confessionals, like, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I don't want to be delusional, but this is day one, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. But she ends up telling him, too, like, she tried the city boy life type of deal. And she's like, no, I need a man. I need somebody that can handle business, being a man. It's just not just financially. I want you to do what it is to be a man, aka like doing the chivalrous things. And she ends up asking him, like, what side of the street do you walk on? And he said, the side that is closest to the street. I said, you passed that test, boy. And they clap it up. It was funny. But we get Chelley and Austin. They're talking. She ends up asking him if he had the opportunity to kiss, who would he have chosen? And he ends up saying her. I said, lie again. He probably would have went over there and kissed Bella or Yulissa or Huda. That man don't like black women. We know that because he reposted a lot of shit that he don't like. Like, come on. He playing the game. But he ends up saying that, and he ends up also saying that he couldn't believe that Chelley had switched up because he thought their kiss was good, but he's glad that it worked out the way that it did. And Chelley ends up saying that she don't want Austin. Well, I said it doesn't seem like she wants Austin, but she essentially looks like she's just here for him in the moment until she can make her move. But Yulissa and Ace, they're talking about her speaking Spanish. He ends up letting her know about his family life, having 6 siblings. She says she wants to have a big family, and she ends up saying that he's her type and has the values that she likes, and he talks like a man, and he speaks like a man, and says things like a man. He ends up saying like he's personality based, but he ain't really feeling the spark between him and Yulissa, and I wasn't either. There wasn't a natural chemistry that you could really feel like you would with Olandria and Taylor, like you would with him and Chelley later on. And I will say also Jeremiah and Huda, they have a natural chemistry too, but we'll get to it. Nicolas and Bella, I can already tell they're going to be that couple that's just like boring. They give me Carmen and Kenzo. Like, that's what that is. But he ends up saying, like, he's praying that he gets a hope from Bella because Bella didn't give him no kiss. Like, it was a kiss on the cheek. And he said he hopes he'll get one sooner than later because she is his front runner. Like, she's at the top of his list. But we get Huda and Jeremiah. She's pretty much saying that he is her type to a T. He ends up saying, like, when he first saw her, he was like, she the one. I can believe that. But she ends up saying that she saw him looking at her and whatever. But Jeremiah ends up saying they had this natural chemistry. And the more that he talked to her, the more he was like, yeah, she cool. But they both agree on bad hygiene being the first red flag. I think we all should agree with that. But she says she's OCD as fuck. She likes a lot of organized shit. I'm the same way. But she also then says, like, they have cute young love vibes. And she hopes that he's not a fuckboy. I said, you better get on them knees and pray every night because you dealing with one. It's clear as day. But Taylor, Ace, and Nicolas, they come grab Jeremiah so they can go kick it with the boys and the girls go kick it with the girls. So the boys, they over there by the little deck area. And the girls are upstairs in the vanity room. So Chelley's up there talking about the plot twist of Ace walking in and them essentially knowing each other. So she runs the girls up on how they initially met. They met back in January. And he had tried to come get her to come with him because she was in New York for her friend's birthday. Huda ends up saying, have you heard of this invisible string theory? I haven't heard of it. I don't know what that is. Y'all tell me what it is. But Chelley was like, somebody literally just told me that. But Huda is like, he looked happy as fuck when y'all had kissed. And Yulissa starts claiming that she wasn't trying to be messy by choosing him. But she went clearly off of looks. And it was just strictly off of just like physical attraction. And he's funny as fuck. But she gets in her confessionals and says he ain't closed off. I had to do what I had to do. You didn't have that energy when you was standing there with them girls. Like, you said all that there. It's clear that you was being messy. That's the whole point. Like, but granted, it's like, can I really fault her for that? Because that is what she's supposed to do. That's what you're there. Nobody is closed off right now. But she messy with it. Like, that's just what it was. But Jeremiah ends up asking Ace how he felt about the switch up. And Ace ends up saying, like, Yulissa's cool, but, like, I'm still open to getting to know other girls and experiencing the full experience and getting to know somebody. So they move to Jeremiah, and he pretty much says, like, he fucks with Huda. He can tell she fucks with him. And he ends up saying, like, we're not locked in, but we fuck with each other. And they're like, nigga, please. Taylor is like, you fuck with her like this. Stop playing. But it's clear, like, in that moment, he definitely does. I feel like out of everybody there, she's definitely his first choice. I can see him entertaining Yulissa too. But this bombshell that came in, and that's what I said in the moment. I said, as soon as the bombshell come in, he probably going to turn his head. And I can see him entertaining this bombshell. But Huda, she ends up saying to the girls that she likes Jeremiah and they have so much in common. And she says she wants to make sure that he's not just saying shit that she wants to hear. And I'm like, yeah, he is. I say he is. Do I believe that he likes her a little bit? Yeah. But is he definitely glossing on it and like kind of flossing it up? Yeah, he is. But Bella, she ends up saying that she's going to encourage all of them to explore every option, and they all agree to do that. And Olandria ends up saying, like, I feel like I love the vibe that y'all got going on. It's girls, girl energy. So they head off to bed for the first time. Everybody's in bed. Jeremiah and Huda are in there tonguing down already. The energy is there. But the next morning, everybody's waking up and whatever. Ace ends up telling Taylor as they're like getting ready and stuff that he ended up kissing so many girls in one day. But the boys, they're downstairs in the kitchen cooking breakfast. The girls are upstairs getting ready. Nicolas comes upstairs to give Bella her breakfast. And guess what it is? Peanut butter on some toast. That's what you ain't put no effort into that shit. But Bella and Yulissa, they're downstairs in the kitchen now and they're talking. And Bella ends up saying that she likes where things are going with her and Nicolas. And Yulissa ends up saying, like, essentially back at home, whenever she likes a guy, she typically kind of gets so nervous to the point where she does not go through with, like, dates and stuff. Like, she'll end up bailing on the date. But Chelley ends up joining them on the conversation. We get a scene with Nicole and Ace. Not Nicole. Nicolas and Ace. It literally said Nicole that I typed. But Nicolas and Ace, they're playing ping pong, talking about how Ace had gotten stolen from Chelley. And Ace was like, he likes Yulissa. Like, the conversation is great and everything, but he's still into Chelley too, but he just doesn't want to be that dude that's not exploring things. AKA, he wants to have his cake and eat it too. Like, this is Playboy. He said people think that he a player. He is one. He definitely is one, but he young. Like, he doing what a 22-year-old would do, especially a 22-year-old man. But Nicolas ends up saying, like, his first interaction with Bella was about breaking the ice. And like his heart was beating out of his chest and he was trying to keep the conversation going. And he lets Ace know too that they was cuddling in bed that night. But Nicolas ends up saying too that Olandria also caught his eye because she was coming with the energy that Bella was not bringing and he wants to see if something's there. I said, oh, interesting. I'm interested in seeing if he actually gonna make a move. But Austin, he ends up pulling Chelley to talk. And Chelley ends up saying like she can see that they're getting along well. She can see them getting along well. And he ends up claiming that he's very interested in her. He's asking her, like, what do you look for? And she ends up saying that she's ambitious. And she has, like, these visions of how she wants her life to be, which is marriage. She ends up saying that, like, marriage, I want something long-term. I want a future. And I want somebody that values that as well. He ends up saying, I want a big family. She says she wants marriage first. He keeps, like, pumping this, I want a big family. I want a big family. Do you want to get married? That's the real question. Because if she said, I want marriage, she probably wants to hear that you want that too. But he's talking about a family. It's like you just want to procreate. That's just really what that is. But he ends up saying that he likes that she's family oriented and driven. I'm like, he just saying shit to try and just please her. But he ends up saying that she's actually an awesome girl and he could actually see it becoming something outside of the house. I said, really? You ain't fooling nobody. But he ends up saying that he tells her that nobody in the house piques his interest but her, and he wants to see if there's something there. I'm like, okay, because nobody else is really paying you any mind, but okay. But she says she's open to it, but she also says in her confessionals, like, he's not her normal type, but she just doesn't know. She wants to explore, and you can tell she's doing it to keep her options open and actually kind of, like, really get to know and see what could possibly be out there. But Ace is clearly at the top of her list, and she said that too. She said she wouldn't mind figuring out if there's something there between them. So we get Olandria and Taylor. They're off on the dock being funny again. They're talking about how much they got in common. He ends up asking her, like, what's your Mexican dish? Like, what would you get first? And she ends up saying an enchilada. And he talking about he cooks that. They dapping each other up. Like, they got a lot in common. They do. And they end up looking at fish. And she talking about something. Look at that shit over there. Can you even pick up a fish? Can you go get a fish? And he's talking about something. Do you know who you're talking to? Like, it's just the vibes from them. I love it. I love it. But Jeremiah and Huda, They are the first ones to go to Soul Ties. They up there in Soul Ties, and he ends up, this was funny. This was actually crazy. But he ends up asking her, like, how does she feel about them? And she ends up saying, like, I want to make sure that he is, that pretty much saying, I want to make sure that you are who you're claiming that you are. And she wants to see it through actions. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to have to see. Because he definitely selling you, he's selling you some shit. Like, I already see it now. This nigga, somebody put it on Twitter that these two remind them of Cassie and Leo. And it could not be more clear. Like, it's so accurate. But he ends up saying in his confessionals that he really likes her and, like, they're on the same page. But she ends up saying, too, that she can't wait to have deeper conversations with him because she has so much depth. We all know what she's talking about, that baby. And they start talking about being born in the 2000s. I'm like, I feel old as fuck. But he ends up talking about how he's an OG. I'm like, nigga, you was born in the thousands. You ain't no OG. But they start talking about living situations. This is where it gets interesting. He ends up stating that he has one roommate, and she ends up saying that she has a 2-bed, 2-bath. And he's like, why you got a 2-bed? Like, why you got that extra bedroom? And she's sitting there smirking. I'm like, you about to tell him now? And she's like, I'll tell you later. And he looked at her like, what the fuck are you hiding? Like, he looked at her like, oh. And then this is what killed me with her, though. Because she was like, don't look at me like that. But she ends up saying it's like, it's not bad. And he's like, I wasn't assuming that it was. But she gets in her confessional and says, I like to make sure that they're fully invested in me before saying it. That's where you're wrong. The only way you're going to know they're fully invested in you is if you're fully invested in telling them the full truth about what everything comes with you. Everything that is you, you have to put that on the table. You should have led with the fact that you have a child. Because that is what's going to tell you if they're fully invested. If you come out the gate and say, hey, I'm a mom, and they continue to want to get to know you, that tells you that they might be fully invested in you. The fact that you did not tell him that lets me know that you know that he's not fully invested in you. That's not going to work. Because like I said, he ready to run for the hills. And she knows that he probably will run for the hills. That's why she's been holding it back. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Because he knows. He knows when that's why he made that face. Like, what you got an extra bedroom for? He knows that's for a child. But Ace ends up pulling Chelley for a chat. And he's smirking and she's blushing. He ends up telling her that she looked good in that green, which she did. And she's like, ooh, I get a compliment. And he's like gassing her up and everything. And he ends up saying, like, I was just letting you do your thing with your man. And she was like, my man. And then he's pretty much asking, like, how is that going? And she's doing what she's supposed to do. She's pretty much like, yeah, it's good. Like, we got good energy going on. I ain't got no complaints. Like, she playing it off. Like, look, I ain't sweating you right now. You got to do that to see if he really wants to see. Like, if you give off a vibe, I'm about to say it. But Ace ends up, they get up top. And Ace ends up saying, so y'all still open or whatever? And she's like, yeah. She was like, we're talking about, they ended up talking about how it's crazy that they ended up getting there to the island together. And she ends up saying, like, she was surprised, but not at the same time. But he ends up saying, essentially, it was fate. I feel like it was fate that we were meant to be here at the same time, which I do too, honestly. But we'll see what happens with them. But she ends up saying that she wasn't going to choose him first because she didn't want to be biased. Like, she already had a pre-existing kind of like lingering maybe connection with him, and she wanted to not just go with that initial thing and go with something else. And he said that he had felt that as well. But she said she intended to choose someone else, but her gut made her choose him. And like I said, they got a natural vibe. You can tell they got a natural chemistry. They sitting there looking at each other, making eye contact, smirking at each other, flirting with each other. And she ends up saying that she wanted to get to know him, but he had gotten taken. So he ends up saying too that, or he ends up asking her if she felt some type of way about it. And I said, don't say it. Don't say it, Chelley. And she ends up saying, no, I wasn't upset. I said, good girl. She was like, I was just like, okay, this is the process. If you wanted to kiss that man, go kiss your man. Like, do it. And he ends up saying, not me. Like, don't kiss my girl. And I was like, oh, your girl. And she was like, you said what? And he said, don't kiss you. Don't kiss Chelley. He said, I'll crash out behind Chelley. I was like, okay, we'll see if that's true. We'll see if that's true. But he's in them confessionals saying that she is something else. And he got a good vibe going on with her. And I was like, okay, I can see that. But they're getting ready for the night. Austin ends up pulling Chelley. They're talking about frogs and shit. Me personally, I don't feel like she really cared about that shit, but she was playing into it. Like, she made it seem like she did. She was claiming that she did, but I was like, I don't see it. But Ariana, she ends up coming in. And I was like, okay, we finally about to get into some shit. So she brings all of them to the fire pit. And she ends up asking them, like, what's been going on? What's the tea? What y'all been doing? So Yulissa ends up saying, like, she feels like people are walking on eggshells and they can all crank it up a bit, a.k.a. let's get some drama going. So Ariana ends up saying, do you feel like people are playing it safe? And Ace is like, yeah, hell yeah. But she ends up saying, okay, well, it's time to see if you're really happy in these couples that y'all have right now. Because I'm going to give y'all the chance to make a play for somebody that you haven't kissed or you might have already kissed, but you're not coupled up with right now. So she said, essentially, you can do that, but you can do it in secret. I said, oh, here we go. So they head on off to go sit in these chairs, and she ends up giving them some blindfolds so they can go around and kiss anybody that they want to kiss without anybody knowing, because they got the blindfolds on. Even though they can hear it, they can't see it, but it's supposed to be in secret. We'll see how long it stays in secret. But she goes walking around, and she ends up asking, she ends up asking first, if you want to kiss an islander or islanders you have not coupled up with, raise your hand. Ace, Olandria, Nicolas, and Chelley raised their hands. I was like, the only one that was shocking for me was Olandria. Ace and Chelley, Ace I knew would get up and kiss because Shelley's right there. But also I knew Ace would probably go around and kiss a couple other girls. Chelley, I knew Chelley would get up and want to go kiss Ace. Nicolas, we already know he wanted to go kiss Olandria. Olandria, I was like, okay, where's she about to go? We'll get into it. Ariana gets up and she goes around and taps Nicolas. Nicolas is up first. He goes over there and kisses Olandria. Ariana's face was cracking me up, but it was getting loud. She over there like, shh, y'all doing a lot. But Olandria was like, who the fuck was that? Because she was confused. Olandria cracks me up when she kisses. She stick that tongue out real quick. But Ariana goes around and taps Chelley, and Chelley goes over to Ace. They got chemistry. It's palpable. Ace was like, that felt familiar. He already knew it was her. Olandria gets up, and she goes and kisses Ace. I said, oh, no. I was like, don't do that. No, I don't want that to happen because I want the two black girls to stick together. But she does. I mean, she did what she got to do. But Ace is eating it up because Ace is getting it. Ace is getting that action. He getting that play. But he gets up to go kiss Chelley. I was like, good. But do you think Ace stopped at Chelley? Fuck no. Ace went over there to Huda and gave her some too. Ace is playing that game. I said, no, not with Chelley though. You got a dime right there. You got a dime, and you know that she will be yours if you want her to be yours. But that woman is, if you asking me, if I was there, she would have been my top pick, and I'd have been pursuing hard. But you could tell Ace probably wants to, but he wants to have his cake and eat it too. Chelley, I feel like, will not stand for that. She might play with it now, but I feel like eventually she's going to come to her senses. But we'll see. But two bombshells come in, and the bombshells ain't bombshelling still. I was like, these two look like you would walk past them in the mall and not really pay too much attention. But we got Charlie. He is 27 years old. He's from the UK. They always bring in the UK people over here. That's the crazy part. Because they got a UK one that's literally about to start next week. But Sierra, she's 25 years old from Arizona. They come in and they kiss everybody too. Charlie kisses everybody but Bella and kisses her on the cheek. I'm like, was that told to him? Because like he didn't kiss her at all, but he kissed every other girl. Olandria cracked me up, like I said, because that tongue came out. The minute he went over there and grabbed her face, she said, I said she just ready to have fun. But the smile that she made after it too was so funny to me. Me and my sister died laughing. But he then went to go kiss Huda. Sierra, she gets up and she's sitting there like swaying her hips, dancing in front of Jeremiah like he could see her. Me and my sister was dying laughing. But she goes and kisses all of them. Ariana ends up shooing them away to the hideaway. And then she tells the actual Islanders, the OGs, to remove their blindfolds. She ends up asking, after pretty much stating, like, y'all have had the chance to go kiss each other. We got some juicy secrets. We'll see if y'all tell the secrets. It'll stay safe with me until y'all decide to do what y'all got to do. But she ends up saying that no one has to know, but if you receive the kiss, raise your hand. Everybody obviously raised their hand because everybody got kissed. But Olandria ends up saying there's some freaky ass shit going on, which it is. But she ends up saying the final 2 kisses came from 2 new bombshells. And they all like, oh, shit. So she ends up saying, too, she loves a plot twist. Put the blindfolds back on. And if you enjoyed the last kiss and you want to get to know the bombshells better, raise your hand. And that is the cliffhanger. That is episode 1. Episode 1 is in the books. If you're new here and have not already, hit that subscribe button for me right now. It's free of charge. We're on the road to 10K. If y'all want to help me get 10K before my birthday, which is July 29th, shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. But thumbs up the video. Drop a comment down below. Let me know y'all's thoughts. I want to hear. Share the video. And I'll be back tomorrow. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day. But it is, y'all see that, 12:36, 12:37 at night. I'm going to bed. Peace.